Bold, cool, sassy, fly, confident, the Bayou Barbie. These are all characteristics to describe what we have come to know about Angel Reese, as she has risen fast in the eye of the public and her importance to the pecking order of women's basketball. But how exactly important is she? Well, one thing is for sure, she isn't alone on that list. In this age of transition from the old to the new, both the NBA and the WNBA are searching for the next generation of superstars to be able to lift their leagues to new heights. And we will have to quickly find out the upcoming superstars who we want to get behind. I know for me personally, in this media space, the importance of the face of basketball is second to none, as that is who we base most of our content around. But the question is, who is rightfully deserving of that spotlight? On one hand, you have players who are deemed popular, but on the other hand, you have players who lead with their production. The players that become iconic are the players who can do both. So with that said, where does Angel Reese fall under this spectrum? And does she have the skill set and physical tools required to actually take on that mantle? Angel Reese, for all of the talk about how flamboyant her style, especially off the court, is, she is one of the most grittiest players in basketball. Her hustle is unmatched, as she will come up with those loose balls against anyone. Really, it's something amazing to see with a player of her size. It's very reminiscent of a young Dennis Rodman. We all remember Dennis the Menace and just how irritating he was as a player. And though he lacked size, he would come up with all types of tactics to really secure the rebound. We could talk about his worm-like ability, where he was a master at positioning and really making sure he was able to swim around defensive rebounders to secure the board. But by far the most important quality was just his reaction time to a missed shot. Well, Angel Reese has the same quality about her game. Soon as the ball is coming off the rim, she can detect that way before any other rebounders can. And when I say way, I mean way before they can. So it's not just the ability to recognize the miss, but recognizing the miss and being able to react to it with your body in one motion, full stop. That's a talent that not too many people possess. This has allowed her to absolutely dominate on the boards throughout the entirety of last season and even prior seasons, although this past season was her best yet. She was able to average around 15.4 rebounds a game, 6.4 of which were offensive rebounders. And that's a lot of why she positions herself right under the basket on most offensive possessions. In transition, you rarely see her spiking up, but instead she runs directly under the goal, and that is a good quality for a rebounder to have to ensure that you will come up with those boards. But it's also the area where she is the highest scoring threat. Angel Reese has phenomenal touch around the rim, and once she gets into her comfort zone down there, there is very little a defender can do. So once she snacks the O-board, she immediately goes up and usually scores. But even if she misses, she is able to secure the board again, and she would definitely be getting fouled or making it on the second attempt. The other way she plays the game is in the mid post. Kim Mulkey has drawn up some great high-low sets with Angel Reese to pair her alongside another big in LaDasia Williams from last season. There are 3 reasons Angel Reese is effective in this position, and first is because she has one of the quickest first steps I've ever seen in women's basketball, as she is able to just use her long legs to get a step on the defender. And if that defender is not able to react in time, then she is getting to the second reason, and that is once again her touch. When she is driving to the basket, her touch is a lot more versatile because she can hit you with a simple layup, she can hit you with the scoop layup, or she can kind of hit you with a sort of awkward scoop shot that surprisingly drops in at an incredible rate. And that's just a credit to her impeccable touch around the rim. But the third reason she is able to really dominate out of that mid post is because of just her confidence and sheer aggression. Angel Reese is a very unique player that plays in a way as a superstar caliber player that we haven't seen much of before now. A lot of her success is based on how she is feeling as a person, because if she is feeling bad about herself, she struggles, but if she is feeling quite well about herself, then she actually dominates the game. This is what I call a mood player, and with these types of players, you have to be very careful, because if circumstances aren't set up perfectly for them, then you could have a lot of challenges. So with this level of confidence that Angel has been able to display with LSU, it has led to her being a relentless attacker of the rim and a relentless rebounder that won't take no for an answer on that end. This is why she can average 23 and 15 rebounds despite having some pretty glaring flaws in her game. She is also able to pick up a ton of fouls with this playstyle, taking her free throw attempts from 4 a game to 7 a game as a sophomore to now 9 a game, as it is very difficult to contain her lengthy size, her quick and aggressive rebounding and finishing, and her overall touch. But with everything she has going for her, she is still very limited as an offensive talent. And as someone who is considered one of the next upcoming stars in basketball, to start, we can go back to how she operates under the basket and in the mid post. A lot of times you will see her play with her back to the basket, and she sees a fairly good amount of success with this, but it is very erratic and lacks a lot of poise and polish to it. At the next level, she will have to add a lot of finesse to her post game and be able to properly back down without being out of control. A lot of times she tries the barrel method, where she just gets super aggressive and just backs down and drop steps, or just flips up a shot. At the next level, she will have to be able to control the post, be patient, and add a proper post hook under control. Speaking of post, she also doesn't have a post fade either, and that is more of a microcosm of a deeper issue. One of the things that you would notice right away with her game is that when she is in the mid post, she barely looks at the rim. There isn't even a thought in her mind to just shoot the jump shot, despite the benefits that will ultimately bring to her game. As someone of her size, which isn't the biggest post player, she will have to rely on a more skills-based approach to the game, and having a jump shot is the most important of those skills. Instead, her approach is kind of the catch the ball and wait, trying to read the defender, and then catch the defender off guard with a quick rip through to the basket. This tendency to not even look to shoot has seen some defenders start to sag off of her. While she's able to still barrel her way in because of her size in college, she won't be able to get away with that at the pros, where defenders can sit on that and just try to meet her at the rim, where she is the most effective. And that is the biggest problem for Angel Reese. She dominates when she has the size advantage and struggles when there is players that are her size or larger. We seen it earlier in the year when LSU played against South Carolina, and the huge lineup of Aaliyah Boston, Victoria Saxton, Letitia Amihir, and Camila Cardoso. They gave LSU problems because they couldn't rely on just being big and rebounding. If South Carolina got past Iowa in the Final Four, I'm not sure LSU would be walking out as champs. Speaking of Camila Cardoso, this is also why the USA team, headlined by Lauren Betts, Angel Reese, and Rakia Jackson, also finished with the silver medal, because they ran into Cardoso's Brazil team and lost twice because of their size difference. Reese ended up averaging 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 assist during the FIBA Women's America Cup, and that is very common to see a star player have to share touches and not be able to score a lot of points in USA type of competitions, with all of the best star players coming together. But it also speaks to her offensive skill set and talent and the pecking order in which she falls under. Make no mistake about it, the best and most effective offensive talent will have the most touches and average the most points, because players are made to do what they do best. This speaks to what Angel lacks, because they pretty much use her as a rebounder and some defense and somewhat as a play finisher. She didn't really get a chance to showcase much else to her game. This is why, for her to reach her potential, she will have to add a variety to her offensive repertoire. As far as areas of improvement, we've already explored what she will have to add in terms of her polish in the post and her ability to make defenders pay for sacking off of her by keeping them honest with a jump shot. But the area that is intriguing a lot of people with her game is her hybrid forward ability. Angel Reese didn't always have the height that she does, and she began her basketball journey playing the point guard position.
When I was younger, I was a point guard. So I've always been a point guard since I was young until I hit middle school, high school. I moved down to the post. So I always had guard skills, but playing against my younger brother, he kind of got me tough to being able to do everything. So he blocked my shot a couple times, and being able to block shots is something I can do, but also being able to play out on the perimeter is something else I've always focused on. And Coach tonight, I took it personal when she said she's looking for the defensive stopper on the team.
This early skill set helps her with being able to really bring the ball up the floor on the break, and in this type of scenario, she is able to really keep her head up and dish it off to open teammates. I noticed a particular difference in her playmaking in the half court versus in the full court transition, as she is much more likely to look for teammates in transition with an open court than when she is being aggressive trying to score more in the half court setting. The theory with me for that is that in transition, she's relying a lot more on natural athletic ability, and there's not too much being forced. In the half court, as I stated earlier, that lack of polish makes it to where she kind of presses a bit just to be able to get to the basket. Polishing up her game will increase her control and her patience, which will allow her to see the floor a lot better and create advantages being in full control of her own offensive game and forcing the defense to react to her. In this regard, she reminds me of Draymond Green a bit in transition, as he is able to be a defensive anchor and then take off with the ball and create opportunities for his teammates, but she doesn't necessarily have that in the half court. She could explore this more if she dived more instead of pop in the pick and roll, and that would allow her to see the floor a lot more, especially playing with the incoming talent like Haley Van Lith and Michaela Williams. That would be extremely beneficial to add in and can really unlock the player that we are all anticipating that she could become. Angel Reese has a real chance to do something truly special, and I like the tools she has to work with. But it would be extremely important for her to develop her game in the appropriate way to be able to capitalize off of this potential and really become a serious threat to the hierarchy of women's basketball. If she doesn't, it could be one of the biggest letdowns we've seen from a player. Not because she won't have a nice career, but with this newfound hype and attention she has been seeing, there will be a lot of people waiting in the shadows to see if she falls off of her high horse.